Good afternoon. I'm Councillor Diane Donaldson, and I'll be chairing this hearing of Subcommittee A of the Licensing and Public Protection Committee of Birmingham City Council. Before we start, can you all please mute your microphones for the moment in order to improve the sound quality whilst I outline the procedure? Can you also please turn off your cameras with the exception of committee members unless you're the person speaking? This is to reduce bandwidth. Committee members will have their cameras switched on throughout the hearing. Could everyone attending today's meeting please put their mobile phones on silent and ensure that they are situated in a room or environment which is free from distractions or any unnecessary noise emanating from radios, TVs, etc. Thank you for that. I'm speaking slowly and clearly so everyone can follow. It is vitally important, for what I hope are obvious reasons, that those attending the meeting and making representations are able to hear me and members of my subcommittee and officers. Any distractions brought to my attention could result in the meeting being suspended temporarily or to another date and time under the regulations for these types of meetings. I also confirm that this is a public meeting and therefore being live streamed on the City Council's website in order that the general public can view it. I advise that this meeting will be webcast for live or subsequent broadcast via the Council's meeting YouTube site, details of which can be found in the agenda. And that members of the press public may record and take photographs except when there are confidential or exempt items. Members are reminded that they must declare all relevant pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest arising from any business to be discussed at this meeting. If a disclosable pecuniary interest is declared, a member must not speak or take part in that agenda item. Any declarations will be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Apologies were submitted on behalf of Councillor Phil Davis, and myself, Councillor Diane Donaldson, will be the nominated substitute member. Can I welcome to this hearing for an application in respect of Kilo Zero Cafe Bar and Refillery, 1 Gibbs Street, Digbeth, Birmingham, B9 4BF. I'll begin with some introductions. My name is Councillor Diane Donaldson and I'm chairing the meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. With me are the members of the subcommittee, Councillors Martin Straker-Wells and Bob Beecham. Also present in the meeting are the following officers: Licensing Officer Bapindra Nandra.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon. Committee Manager Katie Townsend.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon. And Committee Lawyer Joanne Swampillai.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon. Could I ask all parties to identify themselves, please? Firstly, the applicant. That's UK Jeanette Want.
Hi, Chair, that's me.
Okay, I hope I pronounced that correctly. And then next, Thomas.
Thomas Pell, hello.
Good afternoon.
And there's also Brian Pell, who's advising us, my father. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And have we got Michelle Irving?
Yes, hello there. Yeah, representing the landlord and for Zelig and the Old Library Trust.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we've got none no one in attendance who's making representations. I assume that all parties have read and understood the Licensing Committee's procedural rules sent out with the notice of today's hearing. Please note that given the nature of today's proceedings, I may at my discretion amend the procedural rules to reflect the fact that this meeting is taking place online, but wish to assure you all that any such amendments will not impact the parties' right to a fair hearing. We'll be using the chat function in Microsoft Teams to communicate. One of the icons on your toolbar is a speech bubble. Click the speech bubble to go into chat. If you do not have access to the chat function for any reason, please use the raise a hand function to indicate you wish to speak. That button is usually fourth from the right on the toolbar. You can also, of course, indicate verbally that you wish to speak at the appropriate time. Can you all confirm that you have access to the chat facility by typing your own name now? Officers will also type their job title, and the meeting will not proceed until you all have done so.
That's everyone, Chair.
Thank you, Katie. Please keep this chat column open for the entire duration of the meeting in order that everyone can follow the messages being posted in the chat. If any participant has dialed in on an audio telephone rather than Microsoft Teams, please speak now to confirm that you can hear and be heard. I don't believe we have anyone dialing in today. I think we're all here. With the exemption of subcommittee members, please keep your camera off unless you are the person speaking. If there are any problems with bandwidth which cause difficulties with the sound, I may, in my discretion, ask everyone to turn their cameras off in order that the meeting can proceed with everyone able to hear and be heard. Does anyone wish to make any preliminary points at this stage? If so, please indicate that you wish to raise a point by typing speak into the chat function or using the raise a hand function now. Okay, no one. So thank you. I'll briefly outline the procedure which will be following at today's hearing. Firstly, the licensing officer, Bapindra Nandra, will present the report. Then the applicant will be asked to present their case. We are asking if this could be kept to approximately 20 minutes. Can I ask all parties to speak as slowly and as clearly as they possibly can, because the officers are taking notes by hand for the minutes. And the meeting is also being live streamed on the City Council's website. If at any time it is somebody else's turn to speak, please mute your microphone and use the chat function to communicate if necessary. Please note that members of the subcommittee will be able to ask questions at any stage, but we'll try to do so at the conclusion of each presentation. Cross-examination by the applicant and those making representations will not be permitted unless the members consider it appropriate. Where questions are raised by the members of the subcommittee or by those present, They will signify this using the chat function set out on the right-hand side of the screen you're viewing this meeting on. The meeting manager will alert me if I do not notice messages in the chat. I will determine verbally or in writing in the chat facility the order in which the questions are dealt with. So at any point in the meeting, if you wish to speak, please type the word speak into the chat function, and the meeting manager will ensure that we come to you at the appropriate moment. If at any point you cannot hear or having problems with your internet connection, please use the chat facility to alert the meeting manager. The chair will then ask the person speaking to repeat what they have just said. It is therefore important that you use the chat function as soon as you're unable to hear the person speaking. It may well be that there is a problem caused by people still having their microphones or cameras on, which causes interference. So we remind everyone to please mute your microphones and turn off your cameras when you're not the person speaking. Could also point out that occasionally it may be necessary for the subcommittee to take legal advice. At my discretion, I may ask all parties to wait in this meeting whilst members and the relevant officers withdraw to take legal advice using a separate meeting within Microsoft Teams. We will then return to this meeting and continue. Please note if at any time the live stream being broadcast on the City Council's website fails, I will ask you all to mute your microphones and cameras and to stop speaking until the live stream is restored. If at any time this meeting goes into private session, the meeting manager will pause the live stream. Once the private part of the meeting is over, I will ask the meeting manager to confirm that the live stream has resumed before we continue. At the conclusion of the hearing, I will invite all parties to make a brief closing submission. Can I stress that no decision will be taken until all the evidence has been heard? At the decision-making stage, the members and the relevant officers will withdraw from this meeting in order to determine the decision. They will go into a separate Microsoft Teams meeting. In the event that members need to clarify any point, will be telephoned by the meeting manager. The members will then make the decision. You'll be notified of the decision of the subcommittee within 5 working days. So I hope that's reasonably straightforward. So with that, can I ask Licensing Officer Bapindranandra to present the report, please, as slowly and as clearly as you can, please.
Thank you, Chair. The Clean Kilo Limited applied on the 6th of January 2022 for the grant of a premises licence for Kilo Zero Cafe Bar and Refillery, 1 Gibb Street, Digbeth, Birmingham, B9 4BF. The purpose of the report is to consider a representation that has been made in respect of an application for a premises licence which seeks to permit the sale of alcohol for consumption both on and off the premises to operate from 10 AM until 2 AM Monday to Sunday, the provision of regulated entertainment consisting of films to operate indoors only, live music and recorded music to operate both indoors and outdoors from 10 AM until 2 AM Monday to Sunday, to permit the provision of late night refreshment to operate both indoors and outdoors from 11 PM until 2 AM Monday to Sunday. The premises is to remain open to the public from 10 AM until 2 AM Monday to Sunday. A representation has been received from planning as a responsible authority, which is attached at Appendix 1. The application is attached at Appendix 2. Conditions have been agreed with West Midlands Police and the applicant, which are attached at Appendix 3, and the site location plans are attached at Appendix 4. When carrying out its licensing functions, a licensing authority must have regard to Birmingham City Council's Statement of Licensing Policy and the guidance issued by the Secretary of State under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003. The licensing authority is also required to take such steps as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. The options available to the subcommittee today are to grant the license in accordance with the application, to reject the application, to grant the license subject to conditions modified to such an extent as considered appropriate, exclude from the license any other licensable activities to which the application relates, or to refuse to specify a person in the license as the premises supervisor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Bhupinder. Would the applicant like to make their presentation now, please?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, we'll be presenting basically our plans for the site. So I've submitted the premises license, and just so you've got a background of our business, the Clean Kilo. We've been operating for about 5 years now on the Digbeth site as a zero waste supermarket. So the zero waste supermarket, the plan for that was to basically reduce single-use packaging due to plastic pollution. So we're an ethical business, and we're actually a very well-established business. We opened on our Digbeth premises, the one we're discussing in this meeting, 1 Gibb Street, on the 16th of June 2018. And we've been trading as a plastic-free supermarket now for about 4 years. We've actually since then opened a second site in Bourneville, which has a lot of council support as well, and we've been working with Birmingham City Council to reduce plastic pollution in the city. We've been on the plastic inquiry, so we've been doing a lot of community work, and we're very well received by the public and even national press and international press who have covered our site.
Over the last 2 years, as many businesses have, we've experienced difficulties in the Digbeth area, primarily or initially due to things like COVID, but more recently due to roadworks that are happening within the area. And during COVID, obviously, the stay at home and stay local message to use your local shops rather than travel further. We did tend to attract people from all over the city, and so in which case that particular message has had a quite a negative impact on our business. That kind of pushed us to move our grocery side of the business to Moseley, as well as keeping our Bourneville shop open due to the kind of higher population density, residential type density within those two suburban areas, leaving us to do something with our 1 Gibb Street site that was more in keeping with local other businesses as well.
Yeah, we wanted to remain in Digbeth because that was where the flagship store is, and we're committed to Digbeth, the area. We want to see the area flourish and grow, and we didn't want to, if we close down the business and just move to Moseley, it wouldn't be good for Digbeth, the area, and also to the reputation and the strength of what we're trying to do, the raising the plastic pollution awareness. So instead of giving up on that concept, we applied for a COVID recovery grant to actually diversify the business, and this is where the concept of Kilo Zero came up, where we wanted to do, basically, currently we sell mainly food and household items, but we wanted to extend that to a liquid form, in form of drink and alcohol, because there is a lot of packaging associated with the alcohol industry. So we've come up with an innovative concept to work with suppliers to refill 20.5 litre kegs of wine from vineyards that are small holdings, and there's going to be local craft brewers such as like Dig Brew, Burning Soul. We're collaborating with lots of local businesses. There's local ciders made in the West Midlands. there's also lots of local distilleries and gin. So basically what we've done as the Clean Kilo in a food format, we wanted to extend that to a drinks area, and it was more suitable to Digbeth because we noticed as a grocery store it wasn't doing very well because of obviously the office workers not coming in as they were to the area anymore, and because there's not many residential there, so suburbs such as Bourneville and Moseley was more suitable for a grocery store, and as a carbon footprint as well it made sense because people could then walk to purchase their groceries, whereas they're less likely to want to enter a clean air zone that has roadworks to purchase groceries. But however, the nightlife in Digbeth, it's really an up and coming area, and we felt like there wasn't something more upmarket that there needed to be to really put Digbeth back on the map. And we feel like our offering is an ethical offering and a more upmarket offering that will improve the area, bring jobs to the area, and bring more people to the area of Digbeth. So in our premises licence, we've addressed all the licensing objectives, which the authorities were really pleased about. The police had no issues, and in fact, the fire officer said these were one of the best applications that he's actually read, and we wrote this ourselves. So the thing that was overlooked, unfortunately, was we did presume that we had the right planning usage because we proposed to our building management, Zelig, who Michelle is representing today, the concept of changing from the strictly grocery side to a cafe, bar, plus remaining a retail shop as we are as well. So we still want to retail alcohol, but in a zero waste format, where those kegs have been refilled back at the wine producers, which we were approved back in the end of 2021. However, as Julia's representations pointed out from the planning department, we didn't have the right planning usage, which we've obviously since we've had the representation, we contacted Julia directly to ask for advice, and we want to work with the authorities and the planning department to ensure that we're doing everything correct. And Julia advised to wait till the hearing to see if the premises licence was going to be accepted before making a planning application. However, we felt like by not doing anything to rectify the reason for the representation, that wouldn't be positive. It would actually make more sense to work towards the planning application as much as we can, and then take any kind of advice today if obviously the people with the planning department was here today, if there were any additional comments they wanted to make regarding the planning application. So since that, we've submitted to everyone our draft planning application, which is quite comprehensive. We've got a planning statement and the proposed layout. I think everyone has access to these documents on the online files. And yes, I wonder if Brian can talk through the planning application a little bit, because Brian was an ex-planning advisor, and he's also Tom's father.
Yes, thank you. I won't take too much of your time, because clearly you're not addressing a planning application, it's the licensing application. But just to inform you that we do have the planning application almost in a form now. It's in draft form, almost in a form that can be submitted. So we're waiting for the outcome of today's hearing before we go ahead with that. But and to stress that we're not in any way looking to subvert the planning process. We recognise that's a process that needs to be gone through, and we will be doing that shortly in consultation with the City Council's officers.
Thank you. So that's in progress, and we plan on submitting that hopefully by the end of the week. But with the planning usage, we would still like to be able to have our premises license to keep with the opening date, which is the planned for the 1st of April, because we would like to operate, if not as a bar, we would still like to operate as a cafe and do the retail side of the business as we planned. So with the cafe, we're working with a local roastery, and we'll be working with local bakers to sell cakes and other baked goods, deli products, and also the retail of wine as well. So the wine, as I mentioned, those are like the refillable wines. Customers can bring their own bottles to refill wines from the dispensers, and all these wines will be, from the small wine producers that we're working with, and it's a very innovative way of having package-free alcohol sales. That's not been done, not been seen in the UK before as a zero waste cafe bar, and so there's going to be a lot of excitement for it, and there'll be lots of national press, I presume, that will come to cover it. But so we'd still like to be able to keep to our planned opening date to open as a cafe and retail shop if there are any restrictions to the license and before the planning application has been approved, because obviously that will help with the business, as we've still got rents to pay, and there'll be staff to consider as well.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So is that all of the submissions from the various representatives that the applicant wish to make?
I'm not sure if Michelle wanted to.
Michelle, and Michelle Duntley.
Hello, everyone. I'd just like to add, obviously being a representative of the Old Library Trust and Zelig, having Jeanette and Tom as one of our tenants for nearly 5 years now, how much they add to the area and what they've tried to do with the zero waste supermarket over the add to the area over the last 4 to 5 years is just so different to anything else that's in the area. They're definitely bringing the area up, and it's just such a shame that COVID hit, and unfortunately the kind of retail grocery side of things was hit really badly. 1, due to COVID, 2, due to the Metro Alliance works that has just completely closed access off to their shop with any visibility or any parking. So I would like to just kind of reiterate that obviously they wouldn't have necessarily gone down this route, but it was a necessity to change their business to stay in the area and be local and still offer a zero waste facility that's just not here. But I do also think the professionalism that they've had over the last 4 to 5 years is just second to none. As for being part of the community, just being local, offering something different. Digbeth is turning into a bit of a nightlife area, which is absolutely fine. But I don't believe the Jeanette and Tom will be looking to go down that same route that maybe some of the other bars that have been applying for recently will be. I think theirs will be a respectable establishment with sensible opening hours, definitely managed correctly. I have no doubt that I would never even consider letting them have any kind of bar if I didn't think they were going to look after it properly. As I said, I really can't say enough how much the Clean Kilo shop made a difference to Digbeth and the kind of press it brought. So I can only imagine that the same will happen again when they open their bar cafe as well. So obviously the issue with planning usage is a bit of a problem, and maybe a slight oversight from our side as well. We just want to obviously encourage them to stay in the area, do anything they can, which is businesses are really struggling in Digbeth at the moment. So anything we can do to help, we will. And if that's helping them support with the planning usage as well, we'll do that too. But I definitely wouldn't have any worries about letting Tom and Jeanette have an alcohol licence, because I know that if anyone's going to look after it, they definitely will. And I think that's it for me. Well.
Okay, thank you. Is anybody else?
Sorry, I just wanted to add one more thing with regards to the actual premises licence timing. It is 10 a.m. to 2 a.m, but we don't plan for that for our regular opening hours. We would never plan to open to 2 a.m. on a Monday night. It is there. We were advised actually it would be easier for us to just have the same times instead of saying on Monday it's going to be from not opened at all. Is actually the plan that we plan on doing. So with the planning application, we've written the times that we actually plan on opening as part of our regular hours, which generally Monday to Thursday is going to be 12 p.m. till 9 p.m, and then it'll only be Friday and Saturday, which we would go till midnight. And the 2 a.m. is only going to be when we have private events on, and we wouldn't permit any outdoor music past midnight. And I think that was one of the planning application which we'll be submitting, and obviously we've addressed in the planning application any noise concerns and everything brought up in the representation.
Right. Okay, thank you everyone. Are there any questions from members?
Sorry.
Councillor?
Yes.
Councillor Beecham, are you sorry, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, please, several.
Yes.
I've just lost the pictures and that. First of all, what's the present opening hours of the premises? Hello.
Hello. Hi. The present opening hours was Monday we were closed, and we were open from 10:30 till 6 p.m. And then slightly shorter hours on Sunday.
Thank you. How much police input has there been in the going through these, getting the licence?
How much?
Police
input.
Yes.
Did you ask them to review the premises?
Yeah, so they have come and visited us in person to review the premises, and obviously put their formal email across to the licensing committee of any requirements, and their only requirement basically was to have CCTV at the place where we're dispensing alcohol. And other than that, they said they had no issues with it, and they were very confident with our premises.
Yeah, they described us as being low to very low medium risk.
Thank you. Capacity, what's the capacity of the premises?
The capacity is going to be 60 indoors, as we've got one door as a main entrance and the fire exit.
And you've had the fire brigade have a look at that?
Yeah, so the fire brigade visited us as well during the premises licence of those the first 28 days. And again, they applauded this premises licence and said it addressed all the points of the licensing objective, and in terms of the fire, they were really happy with that, and yeah, they advised the 60 occupancy as well.
Staffing, can you go through how the staffing is going to work on this, and who is the DPS and the licence holder?
So the DPS and licence holder is myself. And in terms of staffing, we will have we'll start with a bar supervisor who will progress to, hopefully we would like to think, a bar manager. We will manage it ourselves in the immediate few months after opening. And then we'll have a team of people trained in all the policies relevant to licensing objectives, such as the Challenge 25 policy. And they'll all have the formal training, and they're going to have, we've already got training booked with the fire risk assessment officer, who'll provide training to all the staff regarding any fire risks. We're going to have all the suitable signage up, and yeah, there should be about total of 7 full-time and part-time staff at the premises, and on a daily basis there will be 2 members of staff on site, and at the weekends 3 to 4 members of staff.
It's also worth noting that after the initial few months of us managing the bar ourselves, we still will be closely supervising the management through our employees as well.
And are you cognizant with the keeping of the books in relation to refusals and the like, the records?
Yes, so currently Tom manages the books.
I think he's talking about, you mean refusals of people coming
Yes.
into the premises who
And
were...
the various things that have to be
Yes,
maintained.
yeah, we're going to have all records of that. We have got security on call as well, should we need to. We've got nationwide security, which they have around about, I think they said 200 people on their books that were, and I think they have around 60 at the weekends, just around the area, that are within minutes call, should we need to call them.
Are you hoping for an on and off license?
Yes.
Yeah.
So as part of, as Jeanette discussed earlier, the not only will the bottles be refillable and be able to be brought back, we'll also have wine bottles or beer as well, which the empties can be then brought back, and we can deliver those back to the producer and supplier that will refill them.
Right. You say you're opening April the 1st, April Fool's Day, or hoping to.
People take it seriously.
Yeah.
DPS, hang on. Oh, there's one other question I've got. Oh, the locality of the premises. If you're going to be opening it till those hours, who will you notify in the locality if there is any residents, and how do you propose to do that?
Could you repeat that question?
Yes, I was a bit scrambled, wasn't I? You are opening till 2 o'clock in the morning, or on some days. Have you been in touch with anyone who lives locally that might be interested in the fact that you'll be open till 2 o'clock?
Yeah, so our regular hours for Friday and Saturday would like to open till midnight. In the premises application, we've requested to 2 in the morning to have flexibility to cater for any private events that may come up during the year. We don't expect these to be frequent, but in the where it is applicable, there are no known local residents in the very nearby proximity, apart from I believe a living landlord of the Old Crown, which is a pub opposite us.
Yes.
But I guess he lives above his own pub, which also has amplified music outdoors for until later hours than we plan to.
We also have said that we would inform the licensing arm of the police that we would, if we think that we would be having anything towards a medium risk event, so we'd be informing them of anything that would be till 2 a.m. as a medium risk that we would classify as that.
If my memory serves me correctly, we had a little bit of trouble with the Old Crown insofar as it was upsetting the people that were around there, and I wondered whether you'd had any problems vis-a-vis that.
As a neighbour of the Old Crown for the last 4 years, we've experienced no issues. We don't hear any of their music, even though it's amplified outside. And yeah, so we've had no issues with them, even as a neighbour.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Beecham. Any further questions? Councillor Straker-Wells? No, not hearing any. Fine.
Did something with...
Sorry, Councillor.
Right, I'm back again. Sorry about that.
Sure.
Yes. I was going to ask about the refillery, but you've dealt with that. And in dealing with it, you've also painted a fairly interesting picture about interesting craft beers, cider production, wines, and so on. And I began to get in my head a feeling that this is probably a fairly selective site where you'll be expecting people who have high tastes in these in this sense, and that you would therefore be targeting if you like, a market which is going to be fairly how can I put it without seeming to be silly, a higher end market for your wares. Have I got it right, or am I doing you a disservice?
No, that's completely correct. Yeah, so we've been in touch with Halfpenny Cider, who make their own cider and also appear in Moseley Farmers Market. King's Heath Farmers Market at the moment. Their cider will retail at £6 a pint, really. So it's definitely a higher end offering, and all the local craft beers that we're working with, again, definitely has an upmarket feel. And similarly with the wines, they're going to be no less than really £8 a glass of wine. And it's all, as with the Clean Kilo, we focus a lot on quality and locality. So yeah, we'll be supporting the local community. Anything that we can source locally, we will. And obviously we'll be trying to ask them to refill containers for obviously the purpose of reducing plastic pollution, as we do with the food and the household products that we sell currently in both our Bourneville and Moseley site.
Thank you, and also thank you for clearing up the representation from planning and the fact that you've been in touch with planning to ensure that you're able to comply with all the requirements. Because the only question in my mind, and the question was in fact posed to some extent by my colleague Councillor Beecham, was about size and about appropriateness of space and so on and so forth. But that is not for licensing, that is for planning. But it's a relief that you're going to be seeking pre-planning advice and also be submitting an application. Can I also just very briefly comment? I'm not sure there's a question here. I do wish there were, but I'm not sure there is a question here. But on the business of trying to avoid misuse of plastic and creating even more environmental pollutions and hazards, that has my respect. But I just wonder whether, in fact, that's something that you market actively to your clientele, as it were. I mean, is that known to everybody who would frequent this establishment, or is it something that you're going to be offering to them as an additional, if you like, resource?
No, this will be the main ethos of our premises. So it's going to be marketed as UK's first zero waste cafe, bar and refillery. And we're very confident it's going to attract national attention. And we're going to be publicising how we do the refill circular with our local suppliers and also the winery, because it's only the one company that actually we're working with Sustainable Wine Solutions. And they are refilling these 20.5 litre kegs, and we'll be promoting the fact that the kegs that we get the local beers in and the local ciders in, we're working with the local people to get these refilled instead of using poly kegs, which often gets disposed into landfill.
But also, in addition to that, like with our shop, and I think it will be the same with this business as well, a lot of people stick with us as customers and recommend us to become customers to other people because of the quality and the uniqueness of the products as well, being different to all the other establishments in the area and around Birmingham as well.
Thank you. And I might just add, Chair, if I may, that as well as King's Heath having a farmers market, I believe Moseley Ward also has one, but apart from that.
I believe it's a very good one as well. Okay, thank you, councillors. Any, I think that's all the questions now. So would the applicant like to make a closing submission?
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for everyone's time, and we hope that you can consider our premises licence application as something that will enhance the area of Digbeth and also reduce waste for Birmingham and also, well, nationally, because our coverage is national, and we want Digbeth to be at the centre of where it all began, and that's why we've chosen to remain in Digbeth despite all the business issues that we had with COVID, etc. We want it to still be our flagship store. We believe that we've complied with everything in terms of licensing objective to hold a license at the premises, and in terms of the planning application, as you've all seen in the draft format, that is pretty much ready to submit, and we will be submitting that. We just wanted to wait till after the hearing today if there's any additional comments to add to that, and due to the nature of the area, we are fairly confident that that will be going through without any problems because of also our actual plans of the business, like Councillor Martin Stryker said. It's a more upmarket offering that's going to be low risk and also enhance the area in terms of reducing plastic pollution as well.
Thank you for that. Right, so I will now ask all parties to leave the Microsoft Teams meeting, and the members and the committee lawyer and the committee manager will go into the private session while the subcommittee makes its decision. You'll be notified of the decision of the subcommittee within 5 working days. Thank you.